So when we last talked, we were looking at a James Harden trade and some potential teams who could get in the way of that. The teams we did talk about were the Brooklyn Nets because Kyrie Irving is testing free agency, the Sacramento Kings because of the star power they have is desirable for James Harden to re-sign, and then there was the Charlotte Hornets because of their trade package. But outside of Bam, their roster isn't really built to contend. Then there's our team, who is built to contend and has the best trade package available. Am I foreshadowing? Probably, but I could not be. But enough about that. We actually have to get through free agency first. We're targeting defensive-oriented big men with high IQ in free agency, and Bismack Biyombo is that. He might not be very good at anything other than defense and rebounding, but that's really all I need, especially for a minimum contract. Then we actually get a young guy under contract in Kabengele. He's only 25 and is very solid defensively, and also has the potential to stretch the floor. I'm pretty sure he's actually already a better three-point shooter than Marvin Bagley, and also better defensively, so what's not to like? We also got Mike Conley back on a 1+ team option deal. I just liked him a lot last year, and he was better than any other options for us, really. I could have gone for Rubio, but Conley shot marginally better, and I figured he was good for us last year, and we might as well not shake things up too much. That was it for us, except the Grizzlies giving Marvin Bagley a contract, but it wasn't as much as I thought it would be. So, yeah, let's take a look at some of the free agent moves around the league. Towards the top, there's no shakeup, except we do notice that Kyrie is returning to the Nets, which removes them from the James Harden conversation, so that's good for us. Everyone else here returns to their original team. On the second page, however, we have DeAndre Ayton getting out from under Rudy Gobert on the Suns and goes and joins Pascal Siakam in Toronto. Mitchell Robinson is also replaced by Yusuf Nurkic after he leaves for the Bulls, so that means the Trailblazers lost both of their big men. They traded CJ for Robinson and then he left. That's tough. Dame might have to go somewhere depending on how they're doing next year. I looked at their roster after free agency and it's Dame and then the next best player is like some 79 overall. It's pretty rough over there. We might have to get him out of there. On the third page, we have Zach LaVine going to the Nuggets, Wendell Carter going to join Yusuf Nurkic in New York for some reason, and then TJ Warren joins DeRozan on the Clippers. DeRozan's actually not on the Clippers anymore. I looked after this. And then the Lakers replace LeBron James with a 33-year-old Blake Griffin. Nice. They'll be in the lottery for sure, probably towards the bottom of it. Then on the last page, we're going to look at the Grizzlies get even better by adding Troy Brown Jr. to the roster, who I like very much. Every time I try to pronounce his name, I do that. Look at the Wizards series I did like 2 years ago, and that happened. The Celtics also got a solid big man, finally, in Jonas Valanciunas, and that's all the notable names, pretty much. And that's it for free agency. So let's take a look at our player progressions. Ben Simmons unfortunately doesn't get any better, but Richardson, Hield, and Thibault all get marginally better. Hopefully Thibault will be a legitimate threat from 3 this year, because other than that, he's great. Then on the bottom half, we've expected regression from Bogdanovich and Conley. And also Harrison Barnes is a 75 or something now, so we're going to be playing Tracy Love over him. All in all, it's not too bad, to be honest. But we do have 3 training camps to take advantage of. And the first one we'll use is free throw camp for the entire team because you can never make too many free throws. Then we'll send Kabengele to big man defense, who is already very solid in that area, but his consistency needs to get up and that kind of thing. And then for the last one, we'll send Thibault to perimeter shooting. And while he has an 87 3-point rating, I'm not sure if he has the badges to actually shoot well from 3. I guess we'll see next season. So after a rather quick offseason, we're still left with the James Harden trade possibility. Should I just stop the episode here and make you wait until the next one? I have to get trade in the title somehow, you know. But before the season start, I would like to get our second star and possibly a superstar so we can have as much time as possible to figure ourselves out as a team. I looked at the Rockets roster after free agency to see if maybe it would convince Harden to stay, but they signed Mikal Bridges and some other small forward whose name I can't remember. Neither of those guys are game changers for the Rockets, and Eric Gordon regressed even further. So James Harden is definitely on his way out of Houston. They are selling, and James Harden is not untouchable, so he's definitely available, albeit probably for a hefty price. But the Nets re-signed Irving. That's one less team to compete with us for him, but that still leaves the Kings and the Hornets. I looked at the Hornets roster after free agency, and I'm like 99% sure that they can't make the salaries work. They have a lot of guys on low salaries. but they're also rebuilding, so Harden wouldn't re-sign there anyway. That just leaves the Kings. The Kings' salaries are also tough, but it could work. They have the Al Horford contract, but nobody outside of their top two is making more than $5 million. So salaries would be tough, but it could work. In terms of what they could trade, they have several young guys on the roster to add to the Rockets' small forward collection they have going on. But I still think our trade package is better, so why not give it a try? Starting with a low ball, of course. So the first deal we'll offer is Marvin Bagley, Buddy Hield, and our recent first-round pick, Patrick Williams. Okay, Daryl Morey, doesn't go for that one. I guess we'll have to amend our deal just a little bit. I mean, we're adding 2 first-round picks, and to a team that has none should be nice for them. Will they go for this one? Oh, holy crap, they actually did. I promise I didn't lower the trade difficulty. I'm just as surprised as you are. I actually recorded these just to see if it would actually go through, and sure enough, it did. Our team is now host to James Harden. As for the Kings, they are probably better off just keeping their depth rather than having 3 playable guys on the roster. So yeah, James Harden is a 76er for at least 1 year, and if we have a good season, there's no reason he shouldn't re-sign, even if he's regressing a little bit. Last season, he was a 95, and now he's a 92, but he's still James Harden. I'm sure it's just got to do with his defense. But like I've said, we do have the personnel to cover that up. And man, I'm already ready to get into our first game, if we're being honest. That'll have to come next episode. Before we go though, I do want to show you the rotations I plan to use at the start of the next season. The minutes are very spread out, and we're keeping James Harden rested as he's only playing 30 minutes a night. I'd like to get more minutes to Richardson, but I just couldn't find anywhere to fit him. These are obviously subject to change, and I'm not really sold on them just yet. We also might have to find a real center because Bismack regressed pretty hard, and I don't want to lead a championship run with a terrible starting center Warriors style. But that's for a much later talk. If you enjoyed this episode, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. If you didn't like it, leave a dislike. And y'all have a good one.